Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is Jason, certified financial planner and host of Fighting Words Financial. How you folks doing today? First of all, I wanted to apologize. I know I have not been as active lately on YouTube. I've been putting out about 2 videos a week, whereas before I was putting out quite a bit more. That's largely because in my other life outside of YouTube, I'm actually starting another business right now. It's another jiu-jitsu academy, and I'm not really going to be running that academy. I'm putting up the money for it. I'm an investor. I'm doing a lot of the planning and designing of the business processes, but I won't be teaching there or anything like that. But anyway, it's taken up a little bit of my extra time that I used to use to make videos. That process is going to be completed sometime in August, and I'll get right back into making a lot of my deeply researched content. But today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the electric vehicle revolution that we find ourselves in right now. And I want to talk about sort of the moment that we find ourselves in. And one of the phrases that I keep hearing over and over and over. So I've been an investor for a long time in Tesla. Been interested for a long time in electric vehicles. Long before last year, long before even you were able to invest in Tesla, I was wondering why we didn't have that electric vehicle revolution. And the explanation for that reason why we hadn't hit that moment really didn't come till much, much later when I actually read the book by Dr. Christensen. Geez, I think that's his name right now. But it's talking about disruptive innovation and why some companies fail. For the life of me, I just can't remember the name of that book right now, but I will leave that link in the description, and you guys can check that out. It's a link to the book, of course, on Amazon. It'll be an affiliate link. So if you buy that link or buy the book through that link, I'll get a small commission on that. When I say small, it's a few cents. But anyway, that is the book that I read that sort of adequately explained the cost decline curve with lithium-ion batteries and how that is what made that power density to weight ratio is what really made the moment for electric vehicles this time around be successful. So the idea of an electric vehicle is not new. There were electric vehicle companies as far back as 1880, as far as I can tell. Like there was one founded in Boston, there was another one founded in Chicago, and I'm sure there were other electric vehicle companies founded around that same time period. And that moment then lasted from about 1880 to about 1920, and that's when you see the last of those electric vehicle companies kind of drop off the map. I don't think any of those companies ever had, an electric vehicle range for a vehicle of over like 40 or 50 miles, and speeds were really, really low. But the moment just wasn't there, right? But now, because of cost declines in lithium-ion batteries, that moment is here. And we're really seeing things turn out to be quite a bit different this time around, with companies exploding left and right. The commitment to battery manufacturer is something that in the last year, last 6 months really, if you haven't been paying attention, the tipping point, I think, for electric vehicles becoming the future was really Battery Day last year, where Elon Musk outlined a plan to take battery manufacturer down to a point where the cost per kilowatt hour for kilowatt hour was going to make the vehicles be at price parity with internal combustion engines. In reality, though, when you look at the hard numbers behind Battery Day, if everything with the 4680 battery turns out to be true, you're really looking at the cost per kilowatt hour right now undercutting internal combustion engines by quite a large margin here in the next 2 to 3 years, right? And that is the real reason that every single major manufacturer of vehicles in the last couple of months has announced this really large push into electric vehicles. Now, they've all been researching this for some time. They've all been putting a lot of money into this for some time, but they haven't really publicized their efforts until recently. And I think that was really because Elon Musk sort of outlined this vision of getting the cost per kilowatt hour of electric vehicle batteries down under $100 per kilogram, right? Or whatever that number was. It was like $100 per kilowatt hour. Anyway, and like I said, I have a little trouble organizing my thoughts today around this subject. But anyway, that's why you're seeing it. And now, over the last 3 or 4 months, you've seen every major company out there announce billions of dollars in investment in new battery manufacturer. This is in addition to the big 4 manufacturers that exist right now in the business, which is CATL, Panasonic, Tesla, and BYD. If you aren't already invested in BYD because of their electric vehicle lineup, you may want to consider taking a look at them because of their dominance in battery making. They're actually a huge battery maker. That's really what they're known for, not their electric vehicles. They got their start in battery manufacture, and that's a giant part of their business. Take a look at that business a little bit more closely if you haven't. I'm one of the few people on YouTube, as far as I know, that really covers them in depth and regularly. I talk about them all the time. I think it's a fantastic company. It's a little bit difficult to invest here in the United States in them because you have to invest in either the H shares or the ADR, and because they're traded on the Hong Kong market, and I think they're traded on the mainland too. I don't, or on the Shenzhen market too. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's the Shanghai market. Anyway, what I really wanted to talk about today in this video, and now we're finally 6 minutes in after me rambling on about the moment here for electric vehicles. What I really wanted to talk about today is picks and shovels, right? There's this whole idea of making a pick and shovel type investment in this electric vehicle gold rush, because they always say, a lot of people say in any sort of technological revolution, they always bring back this comparison to the Great American Gold Rush, where you talk about how very few people made money by going out and mining gold. It was just a very few people who were really kind of already rich to begin with, and a lot of people made money or got rich with pick and shovel type investments by selling picks and shovels to miners. All right, that's really great. So what is that pick and shovel type investment for the electric vehicle industry? So a lot of people think that's going to be charging, right? That's your pick and shovel type investment there. But let's think about this again a little bit more abstractly. What was the really giant thing that came out of the gold rush that you don't necessarily think of coming out of the gold rush, but ended up becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry over the next 100 years, and we still use this product today? That's actually blue jeans, folks. Levi Strauss started off by selling picks and shovels and noticed a need. The way pants were being manufactured back then, people would wear through their pants in a matter of days by gold mining, and he figured out a way to manufacture pants using this new type of material supposedly from a place called Nîmes in France, hence the name de Nîmes, like denim. That's one theory of how that word came about. But he starts making blue jeans. Blue jeans end up becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry over the next century, and I don't think anyone could have predicted that happening from the gold rush. Like, you have a gold rush that produces hundreds of billions of dollars worth of value. You have picks and shovels, which create a couple of new millionaires and a couple of new other companies spring out of that era. But what you really have is this multi-billion-dollar industry that sprang out of something that already existed. We already had pants, folks. Pants weren't new, but denim was new. Jeans were new. It created a new style. It created a new clothing identity for people. Like, think about the way jeans are worn today. It is an identity for people. You don't necessarily think about it that way, but it actually is. I'm not going to belabor that point. That's more of a sociology point or an anthropology point. This is not that channel. One of these days I'll have one of those channels too. But let's think about what that means for the electric vehicle industry. What is that pick and shovel type investment? The obvious answer has been charging, right? Vehicle charging. I have never been on board with BLNK being the next Tesla or ChargePoint being the next Tesla for a couple of different reasons. Number one, there's nothing special about their technologies. They are pants makers just like everyone else who made pants. Yes, basically they're just glorified plugs, right? That's all they are. Nothing special about their technology. The barrier to entry into their business is very, very low. Every single electric component manufacturer out there can do what ChargePoint does now, and every single electric component manufacturer out there can do what BLNK does, what EVGO does, what everyone else does. So what is the new technology or the new service that's going to emerge out of this electric vehicle revolution that's really going to be that second multi-bagger investment in there, that second 10x or 100x type of investment out there? So for the gold rush, you had gold, of course. Only a few people got into that. And then you ended up having, Levi Strauss creating a jean company and basically an entire new industry based around pants, which already existed. So it's probably going to happen around charging. I just don't think it's going to be BLNK or EVGO or ChargePoint. I think that in some way, because right now charging is fractured. I went to a website today and I can't remember the life of it for the life of me, I can't remember the name of this website right now that I'm doing this video. I'm kind of putting myself on the spot. but it was a website that sort of tied together all of the charging stations here in San Diego where I lived. There's something like 1,300 public charging stations just here in San Diego, broken across like 16 different charging networks. But this website kind of brings them all together where you can see them in one system. But you can't use their app to go and charge at all of these stations. You can just see where they are, right? And then you would have to, you'd have to basically, I think that the winner in this industry is going to be an app or some sort of software that ties all of these charging networks together. So who is that going to be? I really don't think it's going to be one of these independent charging companies. I don't think it's going to be them, because largely because you have all of these larger players right now, like Ford. They just bought a charging company. They're going to start their own charging network. Tesla has their own charging network. Number one, Tesla already still has the largest charging network in the United States. It's larger than any of these specialized charging players. And you're looking at all VW, Mercedes, BMW. Everyone's starting their own charging network. I think that the technology, the Levi's jeans type technology that takes off from the electric vehicle industry is going to be something that ties all of these networks together and bundles them into a service where coast to coast you can get charging anywhere, just like you can with a gas station right now. You don't have to think about it. You can go anywhere. Maybe it identifies your car by RFID. Maybe it's a phone app that you use. I don't know what it is, but somebody has to create that network that ties everything together. There's a couple of them out there right now. The problem is cars are all charged differently. Some stations can accommodate your car, some stations cannot. That problem is only going to increase as we get more and more players. When Renault brings their cars over here, when XPEV brings their cars here, when NIO brings their cars here, when we finally get the ID. Well, I think we already have the ID4 here, but we're getting VW's cars here now. We're going to get BMW's electric vehicles here. And there are at least 30 or 40 companies in China that you've never heard of that will eventually start selling electric vehicles here in the United States. This revolution is coming, folks. It's already underway. I know that tons of people that are still trying to deny that the gasoline vehicles are sort of going away in the next 10 to 20 years. I think they're mostly going to be gone in the next 10 to 20 years. 20 years from now, it's going to be very, very difficult to find an internal combustion engine, largely because the margins on electric vehicles are going to be so much higher than the margins on internal combustion engines. They're just much simpler to build. There are far fewer moving parts. Part of the dealership model is going to get ruined by this too, because a large part of dealership profits is actually maintenance. Because there's so few moving parts on electric vehicles, there's not a lot of maintenance to do. We're looking at complete disruption, and I know this is an overused word when it comes to industries, but we are looking at complete disruption of the auto industry as we know it in the next 10 to 20 years. It's inevitable at this point. Fighting it or making excuses for it is really just causing you to miss out on investment opportunities. And so anyway, that's kind of all I wanted to say today. I'm ending this kind of abruptly. Like I said, this was unscripted. I don't do a ton of unscripted stuff here, but I'm ending this kind of abruptly because I'm out of thoughts and I actually have some other business I need to get to today. But let me know what you think about my rant today at the bottom as far as what's going to be the pick and shovels type investment that comes out of the electric vehicle revolution. There are other things that I didn't talk about, like the software could be the pick and shovels type investment, some sort of software that rides on top of whatever else the automakers are doing. It could be something I'm not thinking about at all. I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear what your brilliance is like. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you next time.